This is something I was doing yesterday. I want y'all to start looking at history in a more pure way, if you will. So try this prompt. It's going to give you an interesting view of history. So it's about how do you view the world from a pure lens, right? Most of what we learn about the world, we realize like you have to go and like root out the way you know the world, because the world is mostly just mythology, right? So I asked ChatGPT, I say, if history was written pure, free from revisionism, bias, agendas from any religious sects, right, it'd be radically different. No lens of faith, power, or identity, right, would tint the record. We get raw events, unfiltered humans, hands. Imagine a chronicle that are just facts, dates, actions, outcomes, primarily accounts from all sides, no spin, right? And it start giving me a breakdown of, oh, well, if we did it like that, and you wanted just a pure view of history, then other empires would actually outshine European empires greatly. Now, one of the most interesting things that I found, it always goes back to the Moors, right? It goes back to Mali. It goes back to Nubia. It goes back to Great Zimbabwe, right? And you can ask this from it's very non-biased, because you realize that Europeans centered themselves in the middle of the world and act like everything started when they caught on to it, right? So consider this, and I'll give you just this one part that is like brilliant when you really think about it. Because most of history is mythology. Like the fact that you know any Greek mythology, right, is just propaganda. Just think about that. All Greek mythology is just propaganda. Like if you erase those stories from your mind, you know what I'm saying? Like when we talk about certain conquerors, we put them in this poetic lens of being great. We talk about Alexander the Great. You know what I mean? Like we don't talk about no African leaders in such manner whatsoever. But anyway, let me go up to right here. What was this? This is so interesting to me that I thought it was worth sharing. You know what I mean? Of course, the lens of slavery changes 100%. But the lens of history is even more important, because you want to get to a real version of reality, not one that's sold to you. You know what I mean? And then, of course, when the Eurocentric hierarchy is no longer there, when there's not these institutional gatekeeping and suppression, you're going to get top leaders like Imhotep, Zhuangzi from China, Ibn Arabi, Sufi metaphysics, right? Ya Asintawe in Ghana, Lakota sages, right? The Tibetan Buddhism, the Moors, and the Maghreb scholars, Ibn Khaldun, right? Then, of course, you start realizing if you see all the dumb shit on social media, and it's funny because they keep talking about America was founded as a Christian country, and Thomas Jefferson said it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? He said it clearly that this is not a Christian founded nation. Why? Because the first nation to recognize America was a Muslim nation. The longest treaty and ally of America is a Muslim country. America could not have ever became global without Muslims. That's the way it works in America. These are just facts, right? Matter of fact, George Washington, my bad, not Thomas Jefferson. It said the government of the United States is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. And he said that because he had the appeal, right, to the Islamic states, the Islamic country, the Muslims, because he wanted to do trade. And this is reinforced multiple times. Now, Thomas Jefferson, they say, might have been a secret Muslim, at least based on his Quran and all his footnotes and his studies of the Quran. But they're just a pure Islamic Muslim history, right? The word check, algorithm, and tariffs, you know what I'm saying? Like sugar, so many different things. These actually come from Arab words, right? America takes so much credit for things. All words that start with an AL down there are all come from Muslim. You know what I mean? There's no astronomy, mathematics. There's none of these things, right? Without Muslims. But I digress to that point. There's a place in Spain, I believe I think it's called Cordoba, meaning the city of lights. The city of lights was ran by essentially black Moors, melanated Moors, dark melanated copper skin Moors, right? And essentially about 600 plus years before Paris ever had lighted cities, right? This was known as not only the city of light, because everywhere you went, they had lampposts, right? All throughout the city, like how you would see in like modern Paris movies or older Paris movies. You would see all of these lights. That's how Moorish societies was lit up, right? Before the rest of the world ever caught on. I mean, hundreds of years. Hundreds of years is just kind of mind blowing when you think about it from any standpoint. Like hundreds of years. You know what I mean? The way that decenters like Europeans from being at the forefront, it's crazy to me. I think that's just mind blowing. Hold on, let me pull it up. They had the largest libraries. Yeah, it was called Cordoba. It was the philosophical, scientific, and spiritual epicenter during the Islamic Golden Age. For the most part, you probably just never get taught about the Islamic Golden Age anyway. And then in the New America, you would never hear anything about it. Like if your kids are going to be going to school in the New America, they're essentially being indoctrinated, you feel me, to be ruled inside a monarchy, right, under complete white supremacy domination. Like I wouldn't want to meet the kids that's going to be going in this school. They're going to be so ignorant to reality. So this one is so dope because at the time it was one of the largest cities in the world, right? It had 200,000 street lamps, running water, indoor plumbing, and paved roads. Now this is about 600 years, 700 years ahead of Paris and the other cities that they always try to put at the forefront, right, to make them look beautiful. And then, of course, the architecture was always better as well because they use sacred geometry and everything, right? So it's like when you think about history, you realize that you've been taught so much European mythology so that Europeans are in the center of everything. When the enlightenment ages, right, the intellectual ages, the age of reasoning and things of that nature, right, those things come from us, our people. But it gives you a skewed view of self when you're not at the center of history. When the center of history for you is this local point of time when your people suffered, not when your people ruled. Then Mali is not seen as one of the greatest empires in the world. It's not celebrated whatsoever. But we only actually celebrate one person in Mali, which is Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa is not even the one to celebrate. It's the Mali empire and the system that they had that allowed them to control gold, right, and the flow of commerce. And what this means is it represents and shows you how you come from a systematic people, no matter where you're slicing it at. Whether you're looking at the East, the North, South, West, the Americas, right? Like there's proof of your systematic thinking in your mathematical mind, in your advanced mind. Not that Europeans didn't never come to civilize you, ever. That never happened. That's just white supremacy mythology. And it be some MAGA niggas walking around thinking that too. Some of you MAGA niggas be walking around thinking like we need the white folks to be civilized just because you don't know your own history. You're a bunch of stupid niggas. And don't excuse my language because I mean every bit of that shit. But I encourage everybody, and I can't wait to do a real deep dive. I would say a series, you know what I'm saying, on high level to where I think it'd be the best to catch people up. Yeah, because them cats don't know shit, though. They don't know history. They don't know none of this. They've been indoctrinated. All the people y'all be following, man, they stupid for the most part. You know what I mean? They just smart enough to be deceptive. That's it. They have deceptive intelligence. That's about it. You feel me? But they don't know any of these things at all. But these advancements you don't get, that mathematical mind, you know what I'm saying, you don't get unless you have Muslims. Everybody talk about astrology. You don't get that unless you have the Islamic age. You feel me? Like, this is why Christians really don't like when you talk about astronomy, because it doesn't come from them. It comes from Islam. The astronomers, all the stars are named the Muslims, have Arabic names. It's a cold place when you operate in this world and you realize, like, you've been branded to only view the world from your lens of truth. You realize you're a fool. I view it as a Christian. I view it as a Muslim. God don't view it as a Muslim or a Christian. God views it just as truth. Like, if you a machine, you an AI, and somebody just gives you the data, the stats, and you like, why do they look at this empire is bigger than this one, even though this one statistically was bigger? They are more advanced than this one. Oh, well, because they're taught to look at European centralization or centricism and put them in the middle of ideas. Okay. But that's because they want to control the way that they think about the world and history so that they don't have self-awareness about themselves. Okay, yeah, and that's why, so that they can stay subservient and oppressed as slaves and keep resetting generations to be controlled over and over again, because they realize, left to our own vices, Black people build universities. We build libraries of knowledge, you know what I mean, of culture, of spirituality. That's how we do it. I don't care about the Arab invasion of Africa. I don't care about none of that. All I care is about the blueprints of power, right? All I care about is the knowledge that can be learned from all of that. All of the sides of Africans did this, Arabs did this, right? None of that shit matter to me. You feel me? Because at the end of the day, like, being a grown man in today's time as an indirect or direct ancestor from any of those groups don't matter. Shit, matter of fact, you don't even know if they are your ancestors. Only thing that matters is, like, looking at what happened and what can you learn from it and how to build from it. Then I think y'all be getting it misconfused that when y'all say Arab, y'all be thinking about these light-skinned white people that pass as Arab today. Brother, don't you know a lot of them was dark? I'm talking about Afro-Arabia, my color, darker. You got to stop taking yourself out of every story and thinking it was another people. You know what I mean? They just whitewash history, and you look at the current people, and the current people ain't the people of the stories. They're not the people of the story. Stop taking yourself out of it. When you go study history, you always going to see somebody who looks like you. That's the reality of it. Stop taking yourself out the story. It's crazy that we do this so often. What do you think the ancient Sumerians look like? Some light-skinned Arabs? Come on, man. Come on, man. The Egyptians that's in Egypt right now ain't the ones who built the pyramid. Come on, a whole different people. Like, man, we live in an odd world where we don't have a peer view of anything. So, man, you don't even know when is your history. When you talk about the Native Americans, you don't know when is your history. This is why, man, shoot. At the end of the day, you just got to kind of take the best of all of it. Like, what was the knowledge, the superior knowledge in all of it? You feel me? It's like Genghis Khan don't have to be my people for me to study, right, his strategic warfare. You know what I'm saying? Like, Aristotle, not my people, but I could study his philosophy and find insight and logic and reason in it. We do that with white people all day, but when it comes to our people, we don't study none of it. We got to decenter them out. Because them niggas, they ain't know much. You feel me? But anyway, man, I'll be going on YouTube giving a full breakdown about basically this period of what's called dark enlightenment so that people can understand tariffs, what's about to happen with this government, what are the elites and Donald Trump's true plan that nobody wants to talk about. And this one video should explain all the moves that you're seeing so that you no longer have to be surprised by what's happening. right? And then, of course, we can talk about what those solutions are during this age, because sovereignty should be the number one order of the day. Remember that.